The format for this meeting is a 10-minute speaker, our secretary's announcement, and a coffee and a snack break, and then our main speaker. Our first speaker for tonight is Johnny R.
Wow. What an order. I can't go through with it. It's always good to be at a meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Johnny Ross, and I'm a real alcoholic. And I say a real alcoholic. There are alcoholics, and then there are real alcoholics. I just happen to be one of the real alcoholics. No, I didn't drink just to have a drink. I don't know how many people in here drink to have one drink. I never could get through one drink. I was lucky if I got through the bottle and didn't buy another one. But I love this. I walked in. Oh, first let me let you know what I came in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous May 4th, 1979. I know I don't look like old, do I? I have two lives in one lifetime. The AA Big Book came out in April of 1939. My birthday is May 11th, 1939. Yeah. I'm a bleeding deacon. You do know what a bleeding deacon is, don't you? Do something wrong. And you'll find out what a bleeding deacon is. I'm glad my sponsor invited me up here to do what I'm doing right now, because it's a good thing for me. I've been through the whole week, and I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to say when I get up to that podium? God, what am I going to say? My wife looked at me and said, what do you think you're going to say? I said, I don't know. What it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I said, it's 10 minutes. I don't have that much time. But my wife is the reason I'm here in the program. I'll be very honest. She became an Al-Anon. I know you don't have no Al-Anons in there, do we? Do we have an Al-Anon? I thought somebody said they were an Al-Anon. Anyway, I came home one Friday evening, just so you know where this all came from. I came home one Friday evening from work, and I work for a telephone company. And when I got home, she told me, she said, can you take me to a meeting? I'm like, what? She said, can you take me to a meeting? I said, what meeting? She said, don't worry about it. I said, oh, really? She said, yeah, I got a babysitter. And if you don't want to take me to the meeting, I'll get somebody to take me. I got friends around here. Okay. So I took her to the meeting. The meeting was at MWA, Memorial West Alumni, 835 East 33rd Street. I took her up there to the meeting. She walked in, and she started up the steps to go to an Al-Anon meeting, and I started up behind her. I wanted to see what she's going to. You're just not going to walk up here and leave me back here by myself. I went up behind her. She looked at me, turned around, looked at me, and said, where you going? I'm going to be with you. She said, no. Here are the keys to the car. You can go out there and you can go downstairs and wait for me, or you can take the keys to the car and go to your girlfriend's house. I said, how did she know? I know nobody in here else has an Al-Anon. I know nobody has an Al-Anon, right? How many of you have an Al-Anon? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Come on now. No. You lying. Everyone in this room got one. If you're not married to them, or if you got a girlfriend, or you got a boyfriend, they are your Al-Anons. And they don't put up with a lot. They put up with a certain amount of your stuff. I'll keep it nice and easy. I won't say the words that I told everybody not to say. They put up with it so long, and then they'll stop. And they'll find their own way out. And my wife found her own way out. And I walked downstairs at MWA and went to the bar, because they have a bar at MWA. And the lady came up and said, what can I do for you? I said, what do you got to drink? She said, what? I said, what you got to drink? We have coffee, soda, what would you like? I'm like, what kind of place is this? And all of a sudden the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous swung open. At that time they had sliding doors. And I walked in the doors because I'm nosy. My nosiness has kept me here for the past 47 years. You know, they started a meeting, and I heard what it needed to hear. And the serenity prayer was what the man said at the podium. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I'm like, are you kidding? Where am I at? To change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, I didn't know the difference. As you know, if I've been around here this long, I didn't know the difference, but I found out. It's about staying sober. Not for 47 years, for right now. Can you stay sober right now? When you walk out these doors today, will you be sober tomorrow? Will you be sober the rest of the day? Yeah, I've seen the passing parade in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's not cute. This program is not funny. You know, somebody asked me one time when I was sharing at a meeting, why don't you make a joke? I said, I don't find nothing funny about this program. You're too serious. I say, well, I take the program serious because it saved my life. And if you don't take it seriously, you're going to go back out and have a drink. And I've seen the passing parade, and it's not cute. It's not good looking. And people say that I'm going to be here the rest of my life. I'm going to be in this program the rest of my life because it saved my life. And no sooner they said that, a few weeks later, they walked out these doors and never came back. They found out about them. They went back out and had a drink. There's not an alcoholic in any room of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous who can walk out these doors and take one drink. Not one. I don't think, and I just know that since I have people here that have gone out and taken a drink for me, that I don't have to. That's what they do. And it's not being nasty, I'm not trying to be nasty to the people that are going out, and I'm welcome to the newcomers that come in. You're in for a hell of a ride. I can tell you that. I know that because I've been around long enough. I've taken that ride. And I've watched the passing parade, and I've watched people who come in here and play with this thing. Go to Alcoholics Anonymous and play with their lives in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's not a good thing because a lot of people don't come back. A lot of people lose a lot of what they had because they didn't listen. They didn't take the time to listen or to learn or to go through the book by getting a sponsor. Reading the book, taking the steps, thing I've got, because I used to be one of those guys they call player. And if you are a player, you're in the right place because you got played. But I'm glad I got played. And I got here right on time. Not too soon and not too late. And so did you. If you're here today, you newcomers, they're going to tell you just stay. You don't have to keep coming back, just stay. It's easier to stay than it is to come back. Ask anybody that's walked back out these doors and try to get back in here. It wasn't easy. And so I try to stay here, one day at a time, one step at a time. When you reach my plateau of 47 years, you stop doing it one day at a time. You start doing it one step, one minute at a time, sometimes 1 second at a time. Because it isn't easy, believe me. Too many things are going on in the world today that, I used to drink over. But not today. I'm glad the program was here when I got here. The old timers told me that you need, since you're here and you're new, why don't you just sit your behind down and listen. Shut up and listen. I'm like, don't they know who they're talking to? They knew who they were talking to. And I took my time to sit down and I shut my mouth and I listened. And they were right. I hear what I'm going to hear, and I'm not going to hear what I don't want to hear. And that's what takes people back out, not hearing what they should hear and forgetting where they came from. If you forget where you came from, you haven't been there yet. It'll take you right back out the doors. So I think I have done my time. Is that 5 minutes up yet?
30 seconds.
I got 30 seconds? Whoa. To the newcomer, we wish you well. We wish you stay. one day at a time, 1 second at a time. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be all you got. You're going to take everything you got to stay here. And we won't hold you if you want to go back out again. These program people don't hold you in these programs. They let you go and do what you want to do. You still got a life, and life changes. You have to learn to live with it. And thank you for allowing me to share.
Now, our main speaker will share his experience, strength, and hope with us. Please join me in welcoming Father Leo.
Yeah, my name's Leo Booth, and I'm an alcoholic. Well, it's so good to see so many people here. And by the way, you all look so happy. No, seriously. I go to some meetings, and really, it's so tragic. But you're happy. And thank you for those of you who came over and welcomed me. And welcome my sponsee, Johnny Ross. He didn't do too badly, did he, tonight? It's good to have him. It's good to be here. And I know we've got some people who are new here, and I'm glad you're here. If you're somebody who's relapsed, keep coming back. However, maybe do it differently this time. Just keep coming back if you're just doing the same things. You'll probably keep getting the same results. But if you do it differently, and sometimes change your meetings. By the way, I'm in Long Beach. If any of you want to come and see me, I'm at the marina at noon. I go to the noon meeting because I don't get up early in the morning. I know some people do. I don't. I get up about 8:30 and then have a steam. I have a steam room in my house for 35 minutes. And then listen to Barry Manilow for 20 minutes. And then off I go, merrily, to my noon meeting. I also go to Thursdays, which is a lovely meeting, on Sunset Beach. And I go there at 5 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. The point about it is that I think it's important to change up your meetings, listen to different people. We all have the same disease, but we're not saying the same things. That's what makes it interesting. If there was only one story, it would be pretty boring. All of us have different understandings of spirituality, which I'll talk about. All of us have different understandings of how God works in our world. And more than anything else, and it's not difficult in California, we realize we all come here with different cultures. I'm from England. Some people think I'm from Ohio. I am not from Ohio. My sobriety date is the 4th of July in England, 1977. So in 2 weeks I'll celebrate 49 years. By the way, the 4th of July is not one of our favorite days. It was the beginning of the end of our empire. You started it all off. But if I'm not mistaken, The 4th of July also stands for freedom. Freedom. I've been free from alcohol and the devastation of alcohol for, soon to be, certainly now, 48 years. And you can have it too. It's not a debate. Nobody here is debating whether AA works. I brought somebody with 47 years. It's not a debate. Look around the room. It's whether you want it or not. If you want it, that's it. Now, can you get sober in churches? Surely. Can you get sober in a Buddhist temple? I'm sure. But if you want the best bet in town, if you're a betting person, Alcoholics Anonymous is the best bet in town. By the way, for the whole world. Thank God. You know, there are many wonderful things that America has done for this world. But for me as an Englishman, you brought AA to my country. You know? And so I'm forever grateful. I came to America in 1981 after having 4 years of sobriety. I did something for the BBC on alcoholism and recovery. By the way, I didn't tell you, but I should. I was a priest in England. It's called the Church of England. So I came over here, and actually I was at St. George's Hawthorne for a few years as the vicar of St. George's Hawthorne in my sobriety. And I think I came here to speak some years ago, many years ago now, I think. But it's probably all changed. We're not a dull lot. Do you realize that alcoholics tell more jokes about alcoholism than any other disease? An alcoholic is sitting at home with his wife and he's drinking a whiskey, and halfway through the evening he says, "I love you." And the wife says, "Is that you talking or the whiskey?" He said, "I was talking to the whiskey." Alcoholic sitting at the end of a bar. He's sitting at the end of a bar. And he turns to the man next to him. He's had a few drinks. He says, "Excuse me." He says, "What's a breathalyzer?" The man says, "A breathalyzer is something that tells you you've drank too much alcohol." He says, "My God, I've been married to a breathalyzer for 30 years. You know, by the way, I'm not the only Englishman who had an alcohol problem. Some of you are devotees and What's the History Channel? There's a man called Winston Churchill. Beloved in our country. Winston Churchill used to drink. People say who were with him, he drank quite a lot. One day, Winston Churchill was having dinner with Lady Astor. And Lady Astor turned to him halfway through the dinner and said, Winnie, you're drunk." And Winston Churchill looked at her and said, "Madam, you are ugly. But I shall wake up sober in the morning." She was quick to say to him, she said, Winnie, Winnie, if I was your wife, I'd put poison in your soup. Madam, if I was your husband, I'd drink it. Yeah, Johnny Ross said it. We take this disease seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And don't ever beat yourself up. If you're new and you slipped again and you feel you failed, and that twosome of guilt and shame haunts you, don't let it get to you, because that's what the disease wants. You see, the disease doesn't want you to love yourself. That's why so many of us come here with low self-esteem and low self-worth. My message is love yourself. My message is do esteemable things. Do worthy things. It only takes a second to say hello. I don't know whether you noticed, but I noticed earlier on that I think people who are new are sitting on this row here. It took 45 seconds for me to go over and say hello. It's a program of attraction. Don't take it for granted. And by the way, strange things happen in AA meetings. Because we're strange people. I was at the marina one morning at the 7 o'clock meeting. I don't do that now anymore. But when I lived in Belmont Shores, that's where I used to go, 7 o'clock. And I'd finished the meeting, and I was sitting outside, and I saw a young man in front of me who had red hair, I kid you not, blue hair, green hair, and yellow hair stripes sitting in front of me. He got my attention, and he saw me looking, and then he shouted over, "Hey, haven't you ever done anything exciting in your life?" I said yes. Once I had sex with a peacock. And I wondered if you were my son. We are not a dull lot. What it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. If you're an alcoholic and a drunk, there's going to be times you're going to be drunk in your job. So if you drive a truck, you're going to be drunk in your truck. If you're a nurse, you're going to be drunk or hungover in your hospital. I'm a priest, and when I was getting drunk, it affected me doing services, because that's what priests do. I remember once, by the way, I'd done so many funerals over the years. I was ordained in 1971. was a very young priest. 1971. As you heard, I got sober in 77. But in 71 I was still drinking, which was gin and tonic. But I'd been drinking, and I had this funeral to do. And you all know how we do it. The priest follows the coffin. They lower the coffin into the hole, and the priest says prayers at the side. I was drunk. I followed the coffin into the hole. I kid you not, it was a 7-foot drop. Then somebody, because it was an Irish funeral, nobody noticed. Then somebody said, "Where's the priest?" And then somebody said, "Oh, he's down the hole." By the way, they pulled me out. They didn't leave me there. And by the way, wouldn't you have thought somebody would have said something like, "Are you okay, Father Leo? You've just had quite a drop." Nobody said anything. If nobody says anything, why do we change? New people. I don't know your stories, but I know somebody said something to you. I know somebody said, "Look, when you drink, I don't want to be around you." I know somebody says, "You know, this is not going well." If you had parents or something, they said, "Something's wrong, something's not right. This is not the son. You're not my son anymore. You're not my daughter anymore." If you're somebody who had children, your children may not want to be around you anymore. Somebody said something. Nobody said anything to me. That's the purpose of the story. Yes, it's funny. It's a funny story. But it's also tragic. We don't get here without people saying something. It's called an intervention. And some of the people who are no longer able to come into this room, they never had that intervention, maybe. Because many people are now in Al-Anon know that you can enable. And if you enable an alcoholic, you will kill them. If you don't want to upset an alcoholic, you will kill them. Because you're not upsetting them. What you're going after is the disease. I probably had a gin and tonic that very night because nobody said anything. However, this disease is progressive and it was to go on. And the next one was kind of like the beginning of the end. I can't tell you how many baptisms I've done in my life. But I was called upon to do this baptism. Oh, the church was full. It was absolutely full. It was packed. A lot of Greeks, for some reason, came to my church. Greeks seem to love me. And I'd been drinking. But I wasn't like drunk. But you know when you're mellow? You know when you're mellow? Remember D. Martin? When you're mellow, Give me the baby. Will you give me the baby? I baptize the baby in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Daphne. I didn't ask anybody. I just decided that child was to be called Daphne. The mother let loose such a scream. She said, Father Leo, it's a little boy. I said, it's Daphne now. She said, is there anything we can do about it? I said, no. No. Forever and a day he will be called Daphne. Remember the funeral? Nobody said anything. The mother wrote a letter to the bishop. Yeah, my bishop, that's the head guy, my bishop was the Bishop of Chichester. You talk about power. He lived in a fortress with a moat. Had a moat. And he called me after 2 days and he said, Father Leo, I want to see you tomorrow, 9 o'clock. I said, oh, really? 9 o'clock? He said, yes. And then he put the phone down. I thought, well, I wonder why does the bishop want to see me? I'd forgotten all about the baptism. You know, we're alcoholic, we move on. Tomorrow is another day. And then I thought about it, oh, promotion. That's what. No, he wants to promote me. Because actually, believe it or not, even with my drinking, I was a very, very popular priest. The church was full. Because they never knew what I was going to say. But they didn't realize I didn't either know what I was going to say. So I go to see the bishop, and the bishop says, I've got a letter. I've got a letter. It's a letter. I said, good. He said, it's about you, you fool. Are you sick? Are you demented? Are you having a nervous breakdown? And then he looked at me straight in the eyes. He was a small man. He said, have you been drinking? I said, drinking? I put my hand on the Bible. I swear to God, I would never be drinking during a service. But he didn't believe me. Do you know what he said to me? I'm going to tell you what he said to me. He didn't say, I want you to go to AA. He didn't say, I want you to go to a therapist. Do you know what he said? He said, I want you to quit it. I said, quit it? He said, quit it. I said, wait a minute. You want me to quit it? He said, yeah, I want you to quit it. I said, like, quit it? He said, yeah, I want you to quit it. I said, oh, you want me to quit it? This went on for about 10 minutes. You quit it? I'm in Quidditville. I'm driving home. I'm going to quit it. I'm going to quit it. I'm going to quit it. Hey, I quit it for 6 months. Worst 6 months I've ever had. Have you ever had that? You quit it? You quit it. But there's no alcohol, no drugs, and no you. Haven't you figured it out yet? I need you. That was what was always missing. You. On my own, because I find God in you. This is not a religious program. You want to be Christian? Fine. You want to talk about Jesus? Fine. But it's not a religious program. I have friends in AA who are Jewish. I have friends in AA who are from India, who are Hindu. Stop it. Bill Wilson, Dr. Bob were Christian, but they were big enough to see. This is a disease that does not just affect Christians. It's called alcoholism. Some of you may not be in an AA meeting if it was a Christian fellowship, because your Christian understanding growing up was not the best. Not everybody had a loving God. I can tell you horror stories. I did Oprah Winfrey about religious abuse. I did Oprah, and I can tell you there were horror stories of what some people said God would do because they were gay, or what God would do because they didn't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. You want to take a minute to look at the world? More people have been killed in the name of God than any other entity. Thank God that Alcoholics Anonymous has realized. There are people who come into AA as agnostic or atheist, but they find a God within the fellowship. God works through you. In your honesty, I am changed. In your acceptance, I am loved. By all means, have your faith, but don't impose it on others. AA is so wise not to be connected with any organization or institution or politics. Have you looked at America recently? Can you imagine what would happen if we brought that into the rooms? Time to grow up, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to grow up. And so, I drank for 6 months. No, sorry, I didn't drink for 6 months, but I drank after 6 months. And that was on the 3rd of July, my last drink. The 3rd of July, 1977, my last drink. And I remember drinking in a pub in East Grinstead, dressed as a priest with my collar, black suit. Oh, I looked so smart. Some would say adorable. But I'm drunk, I get in the car, I'm driving, and my car, I kid you not, my car hit a tree, and then it hit a lamppost, and my car shot up in the air like a rocket. And there were 2 old ladies from my church, and they saw, and they said, "Look, there goes Father Leo." That's how he travels now. I didn't stay up there. Crash bang, went through the windscreen. I was the only one hurt. And I had a moment. A moment when you see yourself. I was lying, bleeding. The ambulance was coming. The police were coming. And I stepped outside of myself, and I'm looking at me. And I see me drunk. I see the disease. It's called a moment. Do you know, for 48 years, over the months and weeks, I never have forgotten that moment. Every time I speak, I talk about the moment. Your moment may have been when you were in jail and you know you're not a criminal. Your moment may be that you come down and you see the person you love and they've got bruises on their neck that you put there. Your moment may be that don't anybody ever tell you that you don't love your kids, but your kids don't want to speak to you. They don't want to see you. Remember your moment. Remember your moment. Because your moment is a gift from God. I called the bishop, and the bishop sent me into a treatment center for 3 months and a sober living for 6 months. That's 9 months. I was not allowed to wear my priestly collar or black suit. I was to be a patient. Nothing more, nothing less. You're a patient with a disease. And I went to AA meetings. They brought me from the treatment center to AA. I loved AA meetings because, like most priests, I loved the stories of Jesus. I loved the stories of the Old Testament, David and Goliath, Solomon, Daniel in the lion's den. I love stories. And when I came to AA, I heard stories of victory and resurrection and life. Only through you. Through you. I've never left AA. You know, I do hear Johnny Ross because he belongs to a tradition a little bit different from mine, where as a newcomer he was told to sit down and shut up because he has nothing to say. I don't say that to newcomers. I say sit and listen, but if you want to share, raise your hand and share. You're not stupid, and you're not ignorant. You're just sick. I don't beat up newcomers. They do that themselves to themselves. What I do is give them love. But I know this, that newcomers need to see people with time. People with time who are still happy, joyous, and willing to spread the message. I'm not just going to walk by you. I don't have a face of constipation about me. I'm happy, joyous, and free because I found the solution. This is about the solution, not the problem. Stop it. Some people are too much into what it was like. What's it like now? Let's hear the hope. Let's hear the joy. And by the way, remember you're on a journey, you're on an adventure, because it's the 12 steps, not the 12 standstills. Nobody ever says to somebody, Harry, come out and read the 12 standstills. Standstills, you're going nowhere. And so as I end my talk, don't you think it's gone quickly? I think it's gone quickly. As I end my talk, I remember that I was speaking with somebody called Father Joseph Martin. I was in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. And I'd spoken, and people come and shake your hand like they do here, I think. And this guy came over to me and he shook my hand. He said, I'm David, I'm alcoholic, and I'm a crackhead. I said, yeah, okay. He said, I love what you said about the moment. I love what you said about the moment, the car crash. He said, do you think God can speak to you in a moment through a song? I said, a song? He said, a song. I said, oh yes. Oh yes. He said, because I was going to call my drug dealer to get some crack. And then the alcohol comes. It's the usual. He said, he said, a song came on the radio. And he said, it stopped me. I was just about to call my drug dealer. And I said, oh. He said, this song, it made me call my sponsor. And I didn't go out. I said, what was the song? He said, oh, the song. He said, it came from the Beatles. Really? He says, yeah. I said, what was the words? He says, I'll tell you. When I was a young man, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. But now those days have gone, I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind and I've opened up the door. So help me. Help me if you can. I'm feeling down. And I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please help me? And he said there was help for me, Father Leo, and I said, I know. There was help for me too. That's why we're here tonight. You're here to help me. I'm here to help you. And that's the fellowship of AA. I promise you 3 things. You will live again. If you stay sober, you will live again like you've never lived before. You will love again and begin to love yourself like you've never loved before. And more importantly, you stay sober, you'll laugh again. You'll laugh like you've never laughed before. God bless you and thank you.